YJ. Oh, he jams. Wow. Very strong move there by JWin. This is the blender for Chris.
Floor.
$300 in red. Hand 5 of the scream, and we get pocket jacks and a cutoff. Raise to 40 and get called by the big blind. Heads up. On an 8 high board, I'm mostly starting out with a larger size, 2/3 pot. And we get called. Turn is a 7 of spades, which brings in both the flush and a straight. I'm not sure if my hand would go for 3 streets of value anyway, so I decided to check it back and see what the river brings. Which ends up being a nice one. Another jack, giving me top set. If Magic has 2 pairs or a set, I could still put in a bet targeting worse, but he beats me to the punch, betting 50% pot first. With top set, I went back and forth between calling and raising and decided to just make the call. Jacks are good, but I wonder if I missed out on a raise. A couple hands later, I get ace 6 of diamonds. I raise to 15 and go 3 ways. It's a monotone board, which can be tricky to navigate, but with 2 pair, let's put in a bet. I don't expect the blinds to be too strong, so I start with a small bet of $10. No raise from Optimize, so it's reasonable to remove any flushes from his range. The turn is a 10, which isn't ideal. My hand decreases in strength, so I'm forced to just check back the turn. The river is an interesting 6. We're going to put in a bet, but what size should I use?
As small as the pot is, I wouldn't doubt he overbets this, see if he can get a crying call.
I decided to just bet 2/3, targeting an ace. When Optimize checks all 3 streets, his range is certainly marginal, and I'm going to want to be more intentional with what I'm targeting. No cigar though, and off to the next pot we go. Let's bring in some multi-way action. Punt raises to 40 and barber calls. I get king 10 suited on the button, which is fine to 3-bet, but my hand also plays well multi-way. And I decide to do the latter. I put in the call and hope to not get squeezed from the blinds. Magic closes from the straddle, so we're going 4 ways. The flop's 10-9-5 rainbow and gets checked to me. In multi-way pots, I'm generally careful of bloating the pot, as I expect equities to run fairly thin here, and decide to check it back to pot control. The 3 of clubs is great, as it shouldn't change much. Magic does take the lead though, and puts in a small bet for $50. Punt, barber, and I all call. Looking back, there's a lot of passivity here, and this could have been a nice spot to put in the raise. But anyway, the river brings in a 7. It checks all the way back to me, and with top pair, it's quite likely we have the best hand, so...
He's once again in a spot where it's tough to go for a lot of value. You might value own yourself, but he is going to choose to go for some value this time. Goes relatively small, $80. If he gets raised, he can fold, but...
Barber calls, I show my 10, and he mucks, allowing us to take down a pretty nice pot. In the next hand, it folds all the way to bones in a small blind. He raises to 40. I close the action with 6s. Time to set mine. Well, I don't get a 6, but the flop's decent. It disconnected 8-5 deuce. When Bones checks it over, I get to do a lot of betting on this board. I bet half pot and get a call. The turn brings in a 3 of spades, better for me than my opponent. So when he checks it over, I have a decision of whether I want to pot control or to continue betting. There's a lot of utility of betting here, but I'll keep the analysis short. 6s can still get value from worse, and it's also nice that if I was behind, the turn gave me additional outs. I decided to keep it small, which is enough to fold out my opponent's hand.
JWin's going to bet and take it though.
Sickest hand of the session, so strap in. It folds to me in a cutoff, I make a 40, and James calls. We got to get through Chris, however, who 3-bets it of 180. If I call, SPR will still be high enough in case I do connect. So I decided to put in a call. And so does James. The flop is a queen high board. I wish there was a spade so I have more backdoor equity, but with middle pair, it's enough to call Chris a c-bet. The turn is a good one for me, though the reason may not be quite so obvious. With the top card pairing, a lot of Chris's non-queen X range becomes marginal. For example, aces and kings are not going to want to bet. And some of his flush draws may shut it down here as well. I expect things to slow down many a times, which is what happens. Chris checks, and so do I. The river is a jack. And with that, Chris bets a third of the pot. I'm rarely calling third pair here, so it's either raise or fold. I don't expect him to down bet on backdoor flushes and boats, so I can reasonably remove those value hands from his range. I can still have all of the flop sets, backdoor boats, flushes, and trips. So let's put our opponent to the test.
Oh, he jams. Wow. Very strong move there by JWin. This is the blender for Chris. This definitely looks like a queen at the least. Could even be queens full for JWin. Queen Jack would have played very similarly. And lets it go. What a move by JWin. Pure aggression. Gets the better hand to fold.
Thank you very much, Jay.
That is a professional jam there by JWin.
What's up, guys? If you like that bluff, smash the like button. And if you want my in-depth thoughts over my live cash games, friendly reminder that I'm a coach at pokercoaching.com, where I'm uploading a couple of play and explains every month. Additionally, you'll find courses from the biggest crushers, including Chris Brewer, Jonathan Jaff, and my private coach, Brad Wilson. As always, I'll post a link below with the best deal at the moment. I raised from early position with ace-jack of hearts. Chris 3-bets me to 150, and I put in the call. Flop is a low paired board of 6-3-3. When I check it over here, Chris puts in a high-frequency c-bet. With 2 overs and a backdoor flush draw, it's reasonable to call and proceed from there. But I have some overpairs on this board too, so I decide to take the aggressive route and put in a raise. Fortunately for us, he does have trash, and we get the fold.
It's won another nice pot with basically air.
Double board PLO Bombpot time. I flop middle pair on the top board and top 2 on the bottom. But I'm in early position, so really hoping that the street checks through, which it does. The turn doesn't do much for me though, but we're going multi-way, and I have some nut draws, so why not? I caught a pot bet, and off to a river we go, which improves our hand. I'm upgraded to Broadway up top, so when Barber leads the river, I put in a quick call. Chris folds, and I'm left surprised to get quartered, and reminded why it's a huge mistake to make the turn call I made. But we'll save our PLO Bombpot analysis for another day. Or if you're subscribed to Poker Coaching, you'll see them there. 30 minutes go by and I finally have a hand. So when Barber raises his cutoff, I 3-bet my 10s to $100. Optimized, Magic, and Barber come along to a 4-way flop of Jack 7-4 two-tone. It checks to me, and I decide to pot control with my marginal hand. The turn pairs to Jack, and this time, Optimized stabs the turn for $150. While it's possible for him to have trips, I think he could also be doing this with draws and some smaller pocket pairs for protection. Barber also puts in a call, but I have to imagine that he's mostly weighted towards draws, as he would be raising his trips high frequency. For these reasons, I put in the call. With the brick 9 and both guys checking at me, I bet 30%, hoping that a smaller pair would keep me honest. But both folds.
Nice spot there for JWin. Adds another 600 to his total.
I'm raising 10s from middle position. Magic and Bones calls, and what do you know?
And JWin flops the boat.
When Bones checks, no need to slow play here. I'm betting small, charging pocket pairs and draws. When the in-position player puts in a small raise to 100, I could call. But with SPR so high and my opponent's range containing plenty of calling hands, I decide to keep the betting lead. I 3-bet to 250 and get called. The turn is an ace, which would be good for any nut flush draws. With this in mind, I put in a big bet of 500, but Magic folds. In hindsight, this was quite a greedy bet, and I wanted to keep a larger portion of his calling range in. This is why we review hands after, though. I'll play this better next time.
JWin still nice profit on the hand, about $400. I believe that puts him over 2K for the day. So
action continues in the blinds. It folds to me in the big blind, and I raise with pocket 7s. The straddle calls, and we go heads up to a dry paired board of Queen 6-6. No need to bet here. I'm checking, but my opponent probes $20. Easy call. The turn is an ace, which is much better from my range. But if I did have an ace here, I wouldn't bet often into a board with trips. Besides, I have some showdown value with my 7s, so I check it again. And my opponent checks it back. I'm not excited about another overcard, but let's take the lead here and discourage any bigger bets.
Some kind of, it's a very small pot, but maybe a small blocker type bet. And he does. It looks like he bet $10 or $15. Yeah, it's $10. That is the definition of a blocker bet. And gets the call. Max value from JWin.
Cooler.
Last hand of the night. Matt raises his middle position to 40. I call on the button with the snowman. Optimize closes the action and with 3 ways to a connected flop of 10-9-2 two-tone. Flop checks through. The turn pairs the deuce, but I expect this to be a blank most of the time. Matt does put in the delayed c-bet though, and we don't have any other option but to call. Heads up to a double board pairing river. So I'm now fading boats, better pairs, and flushes. But when Matt bets 75, I just gotta make the call. I still beat worse pocket pairs and ace-high hands that will play it the same way. I lose the hand, but hey, who am I to complain? I've been running way too good this session. How good? Plus 2,500 over 4 hours. But more importantly, just happy with how I played after a disaster of a string of live sessions before this, which I'll share with you in the next video. What's up, guys? I am putting the final touches of this video together for y'all. But in the meantime, just want to say thank you. I know it's been a hot, long minute since I've been on YouTube. And I really hope you guys like this video. And if you do, let me know down in the comments. But yeah, man, don't really got much to say. Just want to let y'all know that I'm working hard on content. And I'm looking forward to sharing more of my poker career with you guys. All right, man. Peace.